Greetings, people of the interwebs.
Welcome back.
To Movie Breakdown, episode
One
3.
and only.
Yeah, the one and only show exactly like this on the
Yes, that's it.
internet. How are you doing tonight, Jacob?
I'm doing pretty well. How about yourself, Zachary?
I have had a rough day. I watched my Colts lose in heartbreaking fashion.
Okay.
I'm gonna go die after this. But you know what?
We'll get through it.
That's
Power through.
Yeah. At least I have this. So tonight, we're talking about a movie made in 2004 called Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind. It stars Jim Carrey, Kate Winslet, Mark Ruffalo, Elijah Wood, and Kristen Dunst.
Oh, yeah. And we are going to spoil this movie.
Yes, spoiler warning. I realize we haven't done that the last couple of weeks, but today we're turning over a new leaf.
Yes, we're going to be better.
We're going to be better. It was a filthy habit, and now it's behind us. So, JT, this is the first time that you watched this movie,
Yes.
and you watched it under great difficulty.
I did. It's basically like I've only seen a third of it because we managed to obtain a copy of a modern-day Blu-ray that did not contain subtitles.
And why is this an issue for you?
I am half deaf, so speech-to-sound recognition is kind of an issue. So I became the asshole that knocks on your shoulder every 10 minutes, like, hey, what did you just say? Come on, what's going on? Tell me. But, yeah, I would have appreciated some subtitles, but I got the gist anyways.
You did a great job.
Yeah.
Did an admirable job. So, being that it was your first time seeing the movie, what are your first impressions of it?
I really enjoyed the premise. I think the idea of people that love each other trying to erase their old memories because it's too painful, I like that. And the process through which they went about it could have been a lot better. I didn't enjoy the first hour or so of the movie before Jim Carrey starts to realize he doesn't want to delete his girlfriend. Then it got a lot better.
Okay. I can see that, because it's the first, I'd say, half hour, 45 minutes is really like building the world. It's building the characters, and you don't really know what's going on completely. Once it starts to develop, I really, really start to like this movie. I saw this movie a couple years ago, and it's really a filmmaker's film. There's a lot of aspects to it that I enjoy, and we'll get into some of those later. But obviously it stars Jim Carrey, and this isn't a typical Jim Carrey role.
No, this isn't your Jim Carrey in The Mask or in Ace Ventura,
Dumb and
Dumber.
Dumber.
It's all same year, by the way. Incredible year for him. No, he's wild and over the top in those, and that's great. But in here, he's subtle, refined, and even in like The Truman Show, which is his other really serious role, amazing movie, go watch it. He's still wild and enthusiastic. Like, if I don't see you later, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Like, he's just a really outgoing guy who gets paranoid later on, and so he still gets to act up. But here, he's playing down to like pure subtlety.
He's not the ecstatic, hyper energetic guy in this one. He's the complete opposite of a typical Jim Carrey character. He's subtle, he's nuanced, he's an introvert, he's
like
quiet.
railroadingly depressed for a while.
He mumbles, like all of these things are not what you associate a Jim Carrey role with.
And there's a lot of great moments where he does those kind of subtle or heartbreaking emotions with just his face. Like, he doesn't have to say anything quiet, he stares, and you're like, oh my god, Jim Carrey, I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
who did this to you?
It speaks volumes about his performance, and they say that comedy is the hardest genre.
Yeah.
And you've got to be funny, and you've got to be a good actor to be funny, and this just proves that true, because he does a absolutely fantastic job.
Absolutely.
I think easily best performance in the film is Jim Carrey. And then on the other side of the coin, we talked about his character Joel. We've got Clementine, who is Kate Winslet's character, and they are former lovers in the film. And she's, I feel, the complete opposite of Joel.
Totally. She's like gonna say whatever she wants in whatever moment, and like doesn't care. Jim Carrey will keep it down, and then he will only talk about the things that really matter.
Yeah, because she even comments to him on their first interaction. Well, their first interaction.
Yes. Blue hair.
He's being really reserved and quiet, and he doesn't. You can tell he doesn't want to offend her. And she's like, "You're really nice." Like, and he's like, "I was just trying to be nice."
Yeah.
And he's just like this really like mellow guy. And then she, as you go through the film, she's able to kind of pull some like personality out of him, and you kind of see that typical Jim Carrey in a few like glimpses. But for the most part, he's this reduced, quiet guy. But she brings it out of him because she's so much like a Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
Jim Carrey character. She's more like Jim Carrey from The Mask or anything like that. She's more like him than he is in this movie, if that makes sense.
There's a good visual scene for that in the beginning of the movie when they're near the train station and Jim Carrey sees her walking up after already seeing her earlier, and he's like, "Oh, I recognize her. I'm just gonna turn around and go stand on the other side of this wall where she can't see me."
Avoid social interaction.
Yes, and she looks over like, "Hi," and he's like, "Oh God, okay."
We've all done it, folks. Every single one of us.
And so he goes back around and hides again, and then she comes back and says hi again, and he's like, "Okay, leave me alone."
Mm-hmm. And that interaction, I feel, speaks volumes about their characters.
It's a great character introduction because it tells you everything you need without really dialogue.
Yeah. So the whole center of the movie is built upon Joel's falling out with Clementine and their desire to have each other erased from their memories. Yeah. That's really what the whole movie is about. And it's an interesting question that's raised is who is right and who is wrong? Mm-hmm. I tend to think that it falls in the middle. I mean, it's like any relationship. I think both of them do bad things. They say the wrong things. Yeah. What do you think?
I'm sort of a Joel-ish character in that I only care about the big things and like the minutia that Kate Winslet's character would talk about. Like she would argue about, "Hey, why didn't you take the hair off my soap?" Yeah. And I'm like, "Okay, I'll do that in the future." And Jim Carrey is more concerned about, "I don't think we can have kids together. I don't think you'll be a good mother. I don't like that you're crashing my car while drinking." And she's like, whatever.
I just think that these two, like I said, they're wildly different people. They don't understand how to deal with the other person when they're upset. Clementine freaks out. She blows the top off of her head whenever any sort of argument happens, whether it's about the hair on the soap or whether it's about Joel not thinking they're ready to have kids. And Joel is, like for someone who's quote unquote nice, he's really blunt. Yes. Like once they start dating, he's like, "You sure you can handle? You sure you're ready to be a mother?" Like he's really blunt. He doesn't pull his punches, which is interesting because that's exactly what he doesn't do at the beginning of the film.
He's doing an antisocial thing where he's avoiding the nice guy steps of being like, "Yeah, I'm sure you could do it," and then holding in that feeling himself. He's just saying this because it's the right thing that he wants to say at the moment.
He's being really passive aggressive.
Yeah,
and I guess that's what non-social people do. Mm-hmm. They're not going to be upfront with it, whereas Clementine would have just come out and said it. But he's really subtle about it, and she doesn't know how to deal with that. And that's why they kind of clash throughout the film, and that leads to them breaking up. So that's basically the big conflict of the movie. Yeah. And there's a lot of different ways that this film portrays that. One of the ways is color. The big one is Clementine's hair. It changes color, like 4 times?
There's 4 different colors, and that's kind of how you, if you're perceptive, that's how you keep track of the timeline of what the movie's showing you.
Let's go through the colors. So it just starts off with the first time we see her, she's got blue hair. Mm-hmm. And blue symbolizes sadness, wisdom, and truth. Yeah. And the sadness factor is she doesn't know it, but she's just gotten out of a 2-year-long relationship with Joel.
Erased all of her memories of Joel, and now she's living a more normal life that kind of feels empty hollow and bizarre. Mm-hmm. Yeah. She's sad, but she doesn't know why she's sad. And at the end of the film, she discovers the truth of why she's sad, and that's when she gets the recording from Kirsten Dunst's character. And that kind of completes the whole blue theme, where she's sad and she discovers the truth. Yeah. And then the next time we see her, she's got orange hair. This is when Joel's getting his memories deleted through the dream sequences. And we see her with orange hair. And orange symbolizes crassness or abrasiveness or distrust. Yeah. And that's definitely what's going on, because Joel and her, every time she's got orange hair, they're fighting. Yeah. Yeah. Like another good color example, if you've seen Interstellar, Matt Damon's character has a very dark orange band going around his neck, and that little thing is just supposed to tweak you.
Spoiler alerts for Interstellar.
Good idea. You shouldn't trust Matt Damon all that much, and they do a good job with the colors in that for it.
Unless it's Jason Bourne, then you can probably trust him.
Yeah. Unless you're the agency that hired Jason Bourne.
Yeah. So yeah, like every time she's got orange hair, there's conflict. They're screaming at each other. They're not nice to each other when she's got orange hair. At all. And before that, as he goes further along back and back into their memories, she has bright red hair. She looks like Goldilocks. And this symbolizes passion, specifically passionate love. And this is like the highlight of their relationship. Things are going well for them. They don't argue at all. Really, the whole time she's got red hair, they're trying to solve the problem of him getting his memories deleted.
They're trying to escape and fix everything, and that's kind of like, oh, they love each other again. And that couldn't have happened with the other memories.
Right, because they were too antagonistic. But basically, Jim Carrey's character decides that he doesn't, in fact, want Clementine deleted from his memory.
Yeah, so it's too painful to see them all going away. So
they try to run from it, and she's got red hair during that because he's trying to hold on to the passion that they once had, even though it's gone. Then the earliest we see her is the first time they meet on the beach. She's got green hair, and this symbolizes positivity.
Positivity. It's a rough word.
Tongue twister. Not really. I'm just an idiot. And health, and this is kind of the beginning of the relationship. It's ripe. It's ripe for the picking. They're just gonna kick it off. They're open to having a new experience, and it's just the start of things. Like green light means go, and they're gonna take off.
That's the best way you could have put it right there.
So yeah, it's this color cycle. I think it does a nice dual job. Like you said, it shows the time of the film if you're astute enough to pick it up. And it shows the mood. She even says, like, the colors reflect my personality. Yeah. And I've got to give it to them. They did a nice job. It was creative. Because people do that in real life. They express themselves with their physical appearance, whether it's tattoos
in many ways, or just different hairstyle from day to day.
So hands together for them.
Yep, well done on color.
Next is a big sequence that really spans throughout the film. It's really the core concept of the film is dreams.
Yes.
And the deleting of memories. Memories and dreams kind of get mixed together. And they do this very creatively because when you think back on it, while it is kind of choppy and there's different sequences, it's all kind of connected. There's a lot of transitions into the next dream, into the next memory. And the main thing that I like about the portrayal of memories and dreams is when you remember something from 2 years ago, you're not going to remember it.
It's not complete.
You're not going to remember it as clearly as I'm looking at you right now.
Yeah.
You're going to remember bits and pieces, and everything else is going to be a little hazy. And they do that in this, whether it's with lighting or with the focus of the camera. Sometimes only the subject is in focus and everything is out of focus.
Everything's blurry or just straight up black on the edges.
And sometimes only, like, there's this one part where Jim Carrey's screaming, "Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I don't want it anymore." And like he's just washed out in a spotlight. Like it's by film standards horrible lighting. You never want to use that. But that's the intent. The intent is
it works well.
He doesn't remember anything else but what's in front of him and just the important details. And they do that throughout the film, and I think it's beautiful.
Yeah. Just that spotlight example, like him and Rose eventually start to try to run away together.
Rose?
Yeah, sorry, Titanic. That will always be what her name is to me. Kate Winslet. They run away together on that little sand and snow or ice patch, whichever one it is. And it's just pure spotlight, and it's black elsewhere, so they're only moving from wherever this spotlight is following them. Yeah. There's nothing anywhere else. There's no hope. And I love that sequence.
And you talked about this, you mentioned it after we finished the movie, but the only scene where everything is complete and he has like a really good picture of the memory is the first time he meets her, that first night. Yeah,
those are like the only complete memories where everything around him is vivid and you can see individual sand dunes and what they're doing or what that next house looks like.
Yeah, and the details inside the house. It's just a complete memory, and I think that's cool because when you meet, I don't know if it's the love of his life, we don't really know that, but if you meet the love of your life, I feel like you'd remember the first time you met them pretty vividly.
Yeah, and you know right away. Yeah. You would pick up everything else and treat it as special.
And so I like that they did that.
Yeah.
I'd like to take you out or something.
You're married.
Not yet. Not married. No, I'm not married. No.
Look, man, I'm telling you right off the bat, I'm high maintenance, so I'm not gonna tiptoe around your marriage or whatever it is you got going there. If you want to be with me, you're with me.
Okay.
Well, folks, I'm getting word from our producer Emily that this is in fact not the one and only show that talks about movies on the internet.
Okay, then I think we owe probably a great many of shows an apology.
I'm very sorry for this mishap. But it can't be helped.
Yes.
The show must go on. So now we're going to do a segment that is inspired by a game called Secret Hitler. If you haven't played it, look it up. It's a lot of fun. It's a board game. Because board games are coming back.
Oh, yeah.
But this one we're calling Ya or Nine.
Ya or Nine.
Basically, we're going to go over some of the concepts and ideas from the film, aspects of it, that we liked or didn't like, and we're going to hold up either
a ya
or a 9.
Or a 9. There we go.
Symbolize if we liked it or not. It's pretty simple. So JT, first one is overall acting. How do you think the acting was? I'm going to give it a ya.
I'm going to give it a ya. I think Jim Carrey really kind of pulled up some of the weaker performances and made it a lot more tolerable.
Yeah, Jim Carrey delivers. I don't know if he was nominated or anything, but he should have been. It was probably, I think, I haven't seen all the Jim Carrey movies, but I think it's his best performance. So good job, Jim Carrey. I hope we see more of that. I hope we see more of that. Like Steve Carell, he was a comedian. Now he's doing a lot of serious roles.
He's done amazing in some of those too.
So Jim Carrey should go the same way. Next, we're gonna go with the film score. I know you're very passionate.
There is a thing about this, yes.
So I'm gonna go with you. I'll say 9.
I'm gonna go with a 9.
Not in that it was
Big 9 for
horrible.
me.
It wasn't horrible. It just didn't stand out to me. So
there's points where they deliberately put heavy percussion or something over a conversation, and I just can't hear it. And that might be my ear's fault, but it's overall not evoking emotion, and it's kind of interrupting things.
Yeah, I can see that. I agree. Next, we already kind of talked about this, but Jim Carrey in a serious role.
Hell yes.
Yeah.
More please.
More please. We don't need to say anything more about that. Kate Winslet's hair colors. I'm gonna slap that with
Give
a
it a
ya.
I would really appreciate if the blue had the roots done, but she's kind of sad.
That was bugging me too. It wasn't complete. I don't know anything about dyeing hair, but I don't know if that's just what happens. But yeah, I kept looking at it and being like, man, that's
you gotta redo it.
Yeah, she's got to do that better. Next, the limited CGI. There wasn't too much. I'm gonna say 9.
It's a little old, dated. You can tell.
It was 2004, but that's not really where the movie rests its strength on.
Yeah.
It's not like it was The Mummy 2, where you've got The Rock.
Dwayne The Rock Johnson as a video game character from the Lara Croft universe.
Oh, man. So CGI wasn't the best, but it wasn't in your face. It wasn't too prevalent throughout the film. I can forgive it. It just wasn't that great. Next concept is editing. I'm going to hit this with a ya. I liked it.
I got to think about this one. I'm going to hit it with a 9.
So
I'm going to hit it with a 9.
Why didn't you like it?
There's points, and in general, there are very great points where they transition very well from dreams, but there are several points, including the last scene in the movie, where they jar you for little to no reason. It's not like it evokes anything. It's not like it makes you uncomfortable. It just abruptly switches, and you're like, that was weird.
Yeah, I mean, I would say like 90% I'm fine with it. A lot of the jarring editing in this film is done intentionally because dreams and memories are jarring. But at the end, I agree. The last scene of them running on the beach, they kind of reuse the same shot like 3 times. They keep jump cutting. And it feels like to me that they didn't have any more footage to use, and they were like, oh, let's just use this one 3 times.
Like, it kind of undercuts what could have been a good ending, a good ending, where they're like, hey, maybe there's still a chance, but they're just like, dat, and you're like, I don't know what to feel right now.
Yeah, if they had just had like one long shot of them running on the beach, that would have been nice. But
or even just one redo.
Yeah.
If they redo it 2 or 3 times, you're like, okay, settle down here.
Next comes Barnes & Noble. You were employed by Barnes & Noble for a time.
I was at one point, yes.
But honestly, I think some of the Barnes & Noble scenes are some of the best scenes in the movie. I know. Yeah. So I'm going to hit that with a ya.
I'm going to hit it with a 9 just because Kate Winslet would have been fired if she was kissing that boy at work.
That is unfair, and I disagree with you. But there's the legendary Barnes & Noble transition.
They were amazing.
I think a lot of people know about this, but he's in Barnes & Noble, and then all of a sudden the lights start going off, and all of a sudden he's at his friend's house.
And he walks through
a
the
doorway.
Door, and it's awesome. Yeah. I do love that scene.
And
then the one other scene at the end, during the memories starting to fade, where you're like, you pointed out, like, hey, why are some of the books backwards? And I'm like, they're not backwards, and then they all start to whitewash, and it's just pure white all on the shelves. You're like, oh my god.
Because realistically, if I went to Barnes & Noble the other day, I can't remember every single title on the shelf, so in my mind, those are just, there's books there, but I don't know what they are. So, gotta hand it to them. Great job filming in Barnes & Noble. I guess Kate Winslet would have been fired.
Yes.
But you know what? We make sacrifices.
It's movies. We sometimes suspend disbelief for that.
And the next one is sets.
Set design.
I'm going to say yeah.
I give it a yeah also.
So I know we just talked about Barnes & Noble, but how did you feel? Did you feel like you were in Barnes & Noble?
Yes, it felt like I was in a Barnes & Noble of 10 years ago. I'm seeing lowercase titles over all the shelves, and I'm like, that's not right.
You know, for me, since I didn't work there, it felt the same. I was like, this looks like Barnes & Noble. Like, but I guess, yeah.
I could tell it was different,
Yeah.
just based on age. And set design elsewhere, there's points where, like, Jim Carrey's a young kid again, and they have him playing, like, a role where he's sitting under a table
was
as
weird.
a kid. It's bizarre, but I actually really enjoyed it. Where, like, you can tell it's just a really tall table, and at one point it's a really long table, so you can see him still have the same ratio for the table height.
They got a little creative there. I didn't think it looked a little cheesy, but what I really like is before he gets his memory wiped, his apartment is decorated with all kinds of his own art. It's kind of how he expresses himself, his art in his journal. And then when he gets his memory wiped, they have to take all that out, so he obviously doesn't remember Clementine. And his apartment becomes really bare. I mean, I know Elijah Wood's character mentions it. He's like, man, this apartment, he's like, this kind of sucks. It's so, like, bare and uninspiring. And it is, like, without Clementine, Joel as a character is a little uninspiring.
That's, like, what all of his art was. She was kind of his muse for basically everything that he had at that point.
She was his catalyst. She let him express himself a little bit. And I think he's a better character when they're together, and they show that through the set design. And next we've got lighting and focus. We touched on this briefly. One of my favorite elements of the film. Yeah. One of my favorite elements of the film. I can't really say anything more about it. I think they use focus and lighting about as creatively as I've ever seen in film.
I think there's a great scene near the end where they're inside the house that they had gone to during their first date. And it's at the end, the house starts crumbling, and he's sitting on kind of like a therapist chair talking about why their relationship ended, and there's flood water moving under, and it's dark. It's just beautiful.
It's a beautiful scene.
Yeah.
There's not much you can really say.
No.
It's the last memory he's got of her, and it's epic. This movie isn't epic, but that is an epic scene in a quiet movie.
It falls apart in a beautiful way.
And lastly, the whole concept. The concept of having your memories wiped so that you can escape the pain of a breakup.
And that gets a
resounding yeah.
That one, I was very scared to watch this movie for a really long time.
I know you were.
I like my memories. The few that I have, I want to keep.
Yeah. But I didn't even know about this movie until a couple years ago, and I stumbled upon it. So I didn't really have time to fear it.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed it. I think it's an interesting concept. I don't think it would ever work. There's too many logistics to it.
Yeah, too many small conversations about things that would probably not get deleted.
And the film was made obviously in a day where there was no social media. Oh, and you absolutely could not have this business of
extra $100, delete your Facebook post with her, all thousands of them.
Because what they would do is they'd give business cards to everybody who knew this couple and say, hey, don't mention Clementine to Joel, or don't mention Joel to Clementine ever again. And then they would just hope that would happen.
Yep, and all 400 of your high school friends know you got engaged.
It just wouldn't work. So it's a good thing this film was set in 2003, I think they said it was. So that was yeah or 9.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Bye, Joel.
I love you.
Meet me in Montauk.
So that's pretty much all we've got to say about it. Now it's time to grade it.
The final grade.
What do you think? What are you going to give it on a scale from I want this movie to be deleted from my memory, or I never want to forget it?
Oh boy, I'm falling in the middle there. I'm thinking I'm about a 5.5 out of 10.
Really?
Yeah. So the first probably hour, maybe hour and 10 minutes, there's a lot that gets dragged on for Joel, and he doesn't really get to do much besides agree to get his memories wiped. and he doesn't have agency, and you just kind of experience this traumatic thing with every memory, and it's like, hey, this is bizarre and somewhat uninteresting for that first bit. And then he gets with red-haired Kate Winslet, and they start to fight back, and that's when it gets really interesting, and it picks up.
That's harsh, man.
It is.
5.5. Oof. I'll hit it with a 8.5. Obviously, I disagree with that. I can see where you're coming from, but I disagree with it. I think it does a great job, probably the best job I've ever seen portraying dreams and memories in film. I know a lot of them don't even attempt it, and then when they do, it's not creative. It's just like they show the complete memory without any gaps. But this movie tries to do something different, and I respect that. It's just it's a different film. It's not. It feels like an indie film. It doesn't feel like something that you'd come out of a main major
It feels
studio.
like a Charlie Kaufman film, which I don't know if you know his other works, but I've typically not enjoyed his other works. So I do understand how I don't like it. I didn't know until after I watched, but yeah.
Okay, so JT says 5.5. I say 8.5. It's a 3-point difference. The first time we've really disagreed.
I think so, yeah.
So there you go. We're not a hive mind.
Clem, let me drive you home.
Get out of my face, faggot!
Look at it out here. It's all falling apart. I'm erasing you, and I'm happy. You did it to me first. I can't believe you did this to me. Clem, can you hear me? By morning, you'll be gone. The perfect ending to this piece of shit story.
So that was our third episode of Movie Breakdown. It's been fun being with you tonight, JT.
Yep. What are we doing next week?
We are going to break down Avatar, The Last Air... No, I'm just kidding. Not that movie.
Just
Avatar. James Cameron Avatar. I think it came out in 2009.
Somewhere around that time, yeah. Big visuals, okay story.
Haven't watched it in a while. Excited to break it down.
Excellent.
So we will see you next week if anybody actually watches this.
Yep. If you're recurring, thank you. So keep sticking around and tell us what you like.
Or if you hate us, tell us. And you know what? My Colts lost. I don't have much else to
You're
live
already
for.
down.
Yeah, just kick me, please. And JT, just insult like Korean TV shows.
Oh, I mean, I'm not watching bad Korean TV shows. I'm watching the good ones right now.
Insult those, and that's how you get to JT.
Yeah.
So that's it. We will see you
Thank
guys
you.
next week. Thanks for joining us. Have a good night or day or morning whenever you're watching
Good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
this. Well said.
Jim Carrey.
All right.
Bye.
Peace.